Well, hello there, and welcome back, everybody, to the News Project Live on Friday, April 9th. Beautiful day out there today again. Supposed to be a pretty nice day tomorrow, too. So I guess if yard work is calling, your timing is great. Anyway, just wanted to kind of quickly run through some of the top news stories that we've been following, both on the local and state levels. We're going to lead off with the story from Londonderry today, where it was announced earlier this week at the Taconic and Green School Board meeting that the Floodbrook School in Londonderry has found a new principal. Uh, Amy Harlow has been hired to serve as that new principal, and she's currently a principal at a school. The Washington Village campus of the Echo Valley Community School District, which is part of the Central Vermont Supervisory Union, and that serves the towns of Orange and Washington. There's a good story about this in today's this week's issue of the Manchester Journal. You can read more about it there. Um, she'll be replacing Neil McIntyre, who was the former principal. He resigned back in February. And then former superintendent, former BRSU superintendent Jackie Wilson was called out of retirement to fill in. And so anyway, the new principal, Amy Harlow, will be taking over the reins on July the 1st. So that's good news for the folks up there in Floodbrook. Down in Manchester, we had a story about the new running track at Knapp Field. That has now officially opened. The ribbon was cut on Monday, and really nice track now for the kids there, both for running and also for sort of the field events like discus or javelin or shot put or long jump. And members of the public can use the running track too for walking or running if whatever your pleasure may be. Really beautiful facility. Going to be another great asset for the rec park to show off. As many of you know, Burton Academy has had track teams for many years, but never had a track before up on the school's campus. And while this is down at the rec park, they're just off of Bonnet Street or Route 30 as you're heading north towards Dorset, and you go in there through that main entrance. You'll see it right there to your right. This will give them a really nice facility to train and practice and compete on. So you can find our story if you want on the GNAT-TV website. That's gnat-tv.org. Did a little piece about that, and while I'm thinking about it, any of the stories that we're talking about here today on this edition of the News Project Live, you can go to our comments section, and in there you might find a link or two for more information about some of the stories we're talking about as we go through this little news update here. Let's see. Okay. Oh, one point real quick. Uh, when it's not being used by the Burton Academy track and field team, the the shot put and discus areas we close to the public during their track and field practices and meets. Practices will typically run from 4 to 5:30 Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, and from 4:45 to 6:15 on Wednesday. So if you wanted to kind of do your own little jogging or running there, just might want to avoid those times there. Okay, let's move up farther north to Montpelier and the State House, where earlier this week the governor made two pretty important announcements. One was on announcing a plan for reopening the rest of the state's economy as we move forward towards July. As many of you know, the governor is looking towards 4th of July as sort of being the date when we kind of get as close to normal as we can safely, all things considered and going well. Um, So the governor unveiled a four-phase schedule for relaxing travel restrictions and loosening capacity limits for businesses and eliminating other restrictions on the size of gatherings. And that was given so that those businesses and organizations could kind of begin to plan ahead for the summer. Um, Step one is set to begin today, and that's when quarantine requirements for travelers will be lifted. Instead of the status now will be if you're unvaccinated and you're coming into Vermont, you're required to get tested within 3 days of arrival. But the quarantine restrictions, the 2 weeks or so that you'd be asked to be in quarantine, are no longer applicable. Um, so, low or no contact businesses will also be able to shift to what's called universal guidance, or basically a broad set of restrictions that will be shared, kind of across the board. Um, and if and there those capacity limits won't apply as long as other that guidance is met. For example, was given by the Secretary of the Agency of Commerce and Community Development, Lindsay Curley. She said a retail establishment could open at 100% capacity, so long as they're providing 6 feet of space for each customer based on their square footage. So not quite all the way back to where we were at 14 or 15 months ago, but definitely a big step forward. Um, Step two will begin on May 1st. All other businesses will then shift to that universal guidance. The initial ones will be sort of these low contact or outdoor businesses. Will be the first ones, and then gradually expanding from there. Gathering restrictions under the step two will be relaxed to allow for a maximum of 300 people for outdoor gatherings and up to 150 people for indoor gatherings, which is a huge change from what we had been seeing. And vaccinated people don't count towards those capacity limits either. In step three, which is going to begin on June 1st, all travel restrictions will be lifted. Capacity limits for gatherings would increase to 900 people outdoors and 300 people indoors, again with a maximum of one person for 50 feet, again not counting vaccinating people. And then step four, on the 4th of July, remaining gathering restrictions will be lifted. And that's all assuming that progress towards reducing the number of cases and getting people vaccinated and basically really getting the virus kind of under control as to what's probably going to be the closest extent possible keeps going, and the governor has been eager to remind everybody that we ain't there yet. Keep on wearing masks, watch the social distance, wash your hands, all those pieces of advice that we've become familiar with. That's still important, and we're closing in on the last mile here, but not at the finish line yet. Is the main message. So certainly worth feeling good about, but also mindful. One last note: healthcare and educational sectors will remain under separate guidance throughout. This just applies to, like I say, businesses and other kind of public venues. The second big announcement that the governor made was about how he proposed to divvy up the more than $1 billion of federal money that will be coming to the state under the American Recovery Plan Act, or ARPA, as it's often called. The state will be getting actually $1,029,000,000 from the federal government to make one-time investments on certain things, and the governor is eyeing spending about almost a quarter of that, 250 million, more than 250 million actually, on broadband and wireless connectivity. Almost the same amount, 249 million for housing, 200 million for climate change mitigation measures, 179 million for, 170 million for water and sewer infrastructure, and 143 million for further economic development and recovery. Presumably, that would still to be fleshed out. So that's his proposal. It will now go over to the legislature, and the legislators will get a chance to weigh in. I'm sure for a lot of folks, the idea of investing in greater broadband capacity is probably, you know, something that sounds like would make a lot of sense. The pandemic has certainly revealed something we already knew, which is that the state needed more broadband capacity. But then when some schools were forced to close and students were learning remotely and people were working remotely, in addition to telehealth and um, online commerce, that became even more readily apparent. So the idea there would be to basically, wire up those areas of the state that are currently underserved, and focus on that, and really boost the capacity of the broadband around the state to modern day levels. On the affordable housing front, or the housing front, I guess, what the governor would like to do is build more shelter capacity for those who are currently residing in motels and hotels around the state. And as he announced today at his press conference, the idea would be to build about 5,000 housing units for those who are currently priced out of the market, or I guess what you call affordable housing. Obviously, again, tackling another long recognized problem in the state, which has defied easy solutions so far. But now, with this, as many people are saying, a once in a generation or once in a lifetime opportunity to have the kind of money to invest in these sorts of things. These are some of the areas that he thinks ought to take first, be at the head of the queue on that one. Um, let's see. Before we talk about what else happened at the governor's press conference today, just a quick little COVID update here on the latest round of numbers. Yesterday, 145 new cases were identified around the state. It sort of been one of these up and down weeks. 2 days ago, the numbers were up in the, I think, 220 range or so. Then dipped down to like 42, I think, the day before or the day after. Now back up to, excuse me, no, the day before, I got it backwards. 42, then 140, then 200, now back down to 145 as of yesterday. Um, that's about a 2% positivity rate. Of those 145 new cases, 7 of them are from Bennington County, and the county as a whole had 101 new cases over the past 2 weeks. That's better than several other counties around the state. Chittenden remains the number one leader. No surprise there, given their greater population. They had 48 new cases and 841 over the past 2 weeks. The more recent hotspots in sort of the northern counties in the state, like Franklin, had 11 new cases, 185 over the last 2 weeks. Orleans County, 12 new cases, 202 over the past 2 weeks. Rutland County, 11 new cases, 288 over the past 2 weeks. Neighboring Windham County, since they're our next door neighbors, 11 new cases, 97 over the past 2 weeks. There was one additional death, so that pushes that death total since the start of the pandemic up to 231. Meanwhile, important note here, on Monday, folks 30 years old and older can register for vaccines, and both the governor and health commissioner Howard Mark Levine said that the vaccine rollout program is going pretty well. Lots of folks getting their shots or getting their second shots. That seemed to be going pretty well. But anyway, the highlight, I guess, for many at the governor's press conference today was an appearance by remote appearance by video by Senator Bernie Sanders, who also provided some background and information on the federal monies that will be coming to the state. The governor, both the governor and Senator Sanders, emphasized the importance of summer programs for students who have struggled this year, you know, having to learn remotely part of the week or not being able to be in school on a regular or normal basis. They've missed sports opportunities and as well as educational ones. So the governor and Senator Sanders announced that they were partnering up with Vermont After School. Let me find my notes here to make sure I get this sort of at least semi-accurately here. Um, they're going to partner with Vermont After School, and you can go to the Vermont After School website where you can find more information about all of this. But the idea is they need to strengthen after school programs and as well as the summer programs, both academic and recreational and enrichment. This money would be on top of the existing funding that would already be in place. Um, Mental health services along with recreational components for students. It's felt had struggled to kind of keep up academically, and there was an opportunity to use the summer to kind of help them, kind of regain lost ground or whatever the right way to put it would be. And they hope that also it might be possible for some of these programs to be offered free of charge. So they'll be working with school districts and probably parks and recs departments to set up some of these programs. Obviously, the program is yet to be fleshed out fully, but certainly sounded like there would be opportunities for kids of all age groups to either get some remedial learning in or just some fun after what's been a very difficult year for everybody. So again, and also that website, Vermont After School, I believe it's vermontafterschool.org, but I'm sure you can Google it. There will also be job listings there as well for students who might want to get a job someplace to kind of help out their own and perhaps their family finances after what's been a tough year for everyone. Well, okay. I guess we'll leave it there. Yes, vermontafterschool.org. I've been looking for that the last 5 minutes. We're going to leave it there for today, but thanks again for being with us. My name is Andrew McKeever. I'm the news director at GNAT-TV's News Project. We have, I'll just mention quickly in closing, if you have a chance to go to our website at gnat-tv.org, you'll find the latest installment of our series that we're doing with the Vermont Council on Rural Development. That's Ideas for the Future of Vermont, a 10-part series we're doing in conjunction with the council and also with the Rutland Herald and Barrie Times-Argus newspapers. I had a really interesting conversation yesterday about climate change, and I think you'll find it interesting. Anyway, okay, have a great day, have a great weekend. We'll see you next Friday. Take care.